I can relate to each and every point of yours because my husband and I had that same conversation one day, and we were just sitting at a bar having, drinks. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Tell me, we are now at in our 30s. What is it that you wanted to really do by this age, but you didn't? And he's like, you know what? I really wanted a motorcycle because I love writing and I love, all of these things. I love the details, the technical details, and all of that. In India, it's very common for, teenagers. Like that's like how you gift a car to a teenager in America. In India, it's a motorcycle. So he was used to it and he was like, yeah, I missed that and I'm like, what's stopping you from buying a motorcycle now? You can afford it. And he's like, but we live in Canada. It snows 6 months in the year. And I'm like, okay, but what about the rest 6 months of the year? You can still ride your bike. You can go to different places. You dreamt about it, so why not? And I have not seen him that happy. He bought the motorcycle in April last year, and the amount of happiness, he's an antisocial person, I like to call. He doesn't express much, but that happiness comes out, and that happened only because we had that conversation about dreams. And we sat down and we discussed what is it that we actually dreamt of and what's stopping us from actually doing it. And my second book was also one of those result of one of those conversations. So that's a great tip.
Oh, that's a great story.
It
Like
is.
that's like the perfect example. That yes, you see, like we have to be so intentional about those conversations, especially how long have you and your husband been together?
It'll be 12 years actually.
So like you're celebrating 12 years together. It's, after a few years, you're kind of like, so you can, if you're not intentional about it, you don't have those conversations anymore. And it's so important, especially if you are with a man who isn't going to share those unless you kind of get a little bit out of them, which, is some not uncommon.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's awesome. You had asked about what stops people, and I think I would be curious for you to answer because two things. One, you're doing what so many people I think want to do, right? Like they have this job and maybe they do want to pursue something, and you have the podcast and you write the book. You wrote your first book, and then what was that like to write the second one? Like, did you find it we talked about this before we hit record,
Yeah.
but I think it's good for people to hear because when you want to build that momentum on a project, like you finished the first book, and then what was that like? What was the experience compared to the first book and the second?
Definitely different. It was easy because I had self-published the first book, so I knew what I was getting into. It was difficult the first time I did it. I had absolutely no idea, nothing. But for the second book, I knew what format to follow. I knew what worked for me, what didn't work for me.